I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rakah Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching this truth according to the Bible. And again, once again, I'm going to react to Shaid Bolzan. Okay, this guy is coming out and going hard against, Esau Edom. He's exposing a lot of truth. All right. The only thing about him is he promotes Islam. All right. And you know how we feel about Islam. We feel that it's a bugged out false religion. Okay. And according to the scriptures, you Ishmaelites over there, you're going into captivity as well because you also played a role in the enslavement, the trafficking, and the oppression of the Israelites, and you continue to do so to this day. But that doesn't mean that guys like this, Shaid Bolzan, who, he could be an Ishmaelite, but he also, I believe that he could be a Jake as well. All right, because remember the Lord said we were scattered amongst all people. So we are in every nation. We are mingled and we are hidden amongst all nations. Okay, and this guy might be one of those speckled birds. But that's besides the point. This video was really good. And I haven't pulled up the scriptures yet. I'm going to try to do this where I look up the scripture as he's talking and I'll comment as he's talking. But it's important for us to listen to this because he's absolutely right about what is going to happen. Okay, especially with the global financial system. All right. And Esau Edom knows that his financial system is being deconstructed purposefully by him. OK, but he doesn't want to lose the influence and power he has over the other nations at the same time, which is why the BRICS is such a threat to them. And so because of what India and China and Russia, right, and all these other nations that are joining BRICS, because of what they're doing, all right, they are a threat to Esau's global financial hold, all right? And we'll get into this right now, and then I'll pull up scriptures as we go.
It doesn't matter. Lift the tariffs, pause the tariffs, it doesn't matter. The damage is done. Confidence in the global markets and trust has been demolished at this point. And that was the point. I mean, the point is American isolation. That's what's happening. And that's what will happen. I keep explaining that this is the direction. And it's a direction that has no U-turn. It has no detour. It has no turns at all. It's an irreversible direction, Look, I understand why people simplify things, by thinking that the OCGFC is like some organized cabal. It's not, but I completely understand why it makes it easier to think of them that way. I mean, it might be helpful for understanding in some ways, even though it's not an accurate way of looking at how the highest tiers of the economic, political, and financial hierarchy work. It's not really a cabal. But if you think of it as a cabal, you can imagine an OCGFC white paper or a memo about what their plans are, confidential for super rich eyes only or something like that. I mean, you have think tanks, you have organizations like the World Economic Forum and so on. More or less, that's what they do. They're not generally coming up with ideas and strategies or anything like that. They just articulate or translate into the language of policy proposals what the OCGFC already intend to do. Think tanks are basically PR firms for the political class. Like I was saying the other day, if you were someone from the OCGFC, the A-National OCGFC, and you made an evaluation of America and the global landscape, say 10 years ago in 2015, well, we can imagine what that would look like and what responses you would probably recommend if you were from that group. It's not that hard, really. You'd be sitting in a boardroom looking at macro trends, political forecasts, demographic data, capital returns, and of course the viability of maintaining control, of sustaining dominance without destabilizing your own structures. You'd want to extract, you want to continue growing, but not at the expense of triggering.
Okay, and what he's explaining here is he believes that back in 2015 was about 10 years ago. Okay, I would have been in high school at that time, but in 2015 is when they started enacting their plan to deconstruct this civilization financially. Okay, that's when they started it. Okay, they saw that after 2008, 2008 was planned as well, but they wanted to continue the illusion or the mirage, okay, of wealth, of power, and of the American dream here in America. And really, after 2008, America really never recovered after that. It's still been just fake projection, prospect, and debt that has been keeping up this system. All right, and it's getting ready to fall, and it's kept prices relatively low, controlled. All right, so let's get this. 2nd Ezra 16:21. Behold, victuals, which is goods, right? Your the stuff you buy at the store, okay, the thing you get on Amazon or whatever you buy, those are victuals, okay? Behold, victuals shall be so good, cheap upon the earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And because that's the main indicator, because people haven't really suffered here financially. People haven't been able, people for the most part have been able to afford, all right, prices have gone up, but people have still been able to afford to live, to buy milk, to buy eggs, right? You might complain about $5, $6, $7 eggs. You might complain about $3, $4 gas. You might complain about all those things, but you can still buy it, right? You'll buy it with grumbling and mumbling under your voice, but you can still maintain a life here in Babylon the Great, and it's coming to the point where people can no longer maintain. And when that happens, and it's going to be this system, this financial system is going to be forced into that situation where people absolutely cannot afford anything. You can't go to the store. You can't even afford a bottle of water, right? It's gonna get that bad, right? A loaf of bread is gonna cost you a day's wage, okay? About $150, $200, okay? It's gonna get like that. It's called hyperinflation. But again, let me finish this verse. It says, think themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils grow upon the earth. Right, evils are going to grow upon the earth because, the wicked are ruling here in America, especially here in the Babylon the Great. Okay, sword, famine, and great confusion. Right, great confusion. Babylon the Great. What does Babylon mean? Babylon means confusion. Okay, that's here in America. Sword and famine is going to come because, once, this financial system hyperinflates, you won't be able to buy food. Okay, and not only that, but the fact that Esau Edom and his government and his systems have strategically been poisoning and destroying the food supply, the supply chain in the United States of America. We haven't hit it yet, the point where the stores are still full, they're still stocked up. But guess what? These tariffs, okay, these imports coming into the United States are going to be more expensive, which means they're going to come in less frequently. The food on the shelves is going to become more expensive, which means people are going to have to buy less and less. All right. That's going to be part of the famine. All right. And people will starve to death here in America. Okay. It will get much worse. And sword. Why? Because people are going to be so desperate that they're going to fight against each other with swords. Okay. Let's get that. 2nd Ezra 15:16, it says, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, they shall not regard their kings nor princes. Why? Because people will no longer all trust in the system, all government systems, any system here in America, all trust in it will be eroded and will be completely gone. They're not going to listen to their lawmakers, their police officers, right? The president. They're not going to listen to the Congress. They're not going to listen to the governor or the mayor or anybody in power. Why? Because they don't trust them. Why? Because America's going to get to the point where people are dying, okay, from starvation. And when people can't afford to live and people can't afford to eat or feed their children, you can't tell them anything, okay? Especially if you're in a suit, right, with authority and power, and you got food in your fridge and you got money in your bank account, right? You can't tell anybody anything, okay? So that's why they will not regard their kings or princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their own power, right? They're going to take things in their own hands, the law into their own hands, right? They want food, they're going to go get it. They're going to go steal it. If they want water, they're going to go get it. They're going to go steal it. They need clothes. They need justice, right? If people think they've been wronged or stolen from or anything like that, they're going to have the power. They're going to take things into their own hands, okay? A man shall desire to go into a city, right? This is martial law right here, and shall not be able, right? Because of the smart systems that are coming, the martial law, okay? You're going to be stuck in your location. Wherever you're at, you're going to be stuck there, all right? And you won't be able to leave. Because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled. Yeah, people who live in the cities, okay, they're the most proud. They think they're all that in a bag of chips because, they've never experienced not having the water turn on. They've never experienced not having the lights turn on. They've never experienced no trash or waste disposal. Okay. They've never experienced the sewers not working. Okay. They've never experienced a life in a third world country, which America is becoming a third world country. Okay. And it is already. Okay. The reason why it looks the way it looks right now is because people are able to go into debt to upkeep the appearance of wealth. Okay. The houses shall be destroyed and the men shall be afraid. It says the men shall be afraid. Right? Why? Because what's about to happen is extreme violence is going to come to the streets of America. Mass death will come. Okay. And all you weak, effeminate men, okay, especially those that, have ignored the word, the gospel, the word of Yahawashi, okay, you're going to be, actually, let me get it. Jeremiah. Let's see if I can get it here. We'll go to Jeremiah chapter 30. Jeremiah chapter 30, I believe, in verse 7. Yep, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble. And what is Jacob's trouble? It's the collapse of society. It's the collapse of the social structure. It's the collapse of everything around you that keeps you comfortable and safe, right? Food, water, security, law and order, okay? Social morals, all that's coming down, okay? And the main targets of violence will be you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you Israelites, okay? And you will be unalived in mass numbers by your enemies, mainly Edomites, but also these other nations. And not only that, but people of your own nation, because, okay, of the desperation that is going to be out there. Okay, you will be blamed, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans will be blamed for this state of what's going on in America, and people will be angry. Okay, that's why it's called Jacob's trouble. But he shall be saved out of it. Who? The elect of the nation of Israel shall be saved. All right, let's go to Psalms 91. Okay, let's go to Psalms 91. Okay, and this is talking about us being saved. Okay, let's start at verse 7. It says, 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand. Right, because Jacob's trouble, there's going to be a lot of death, and we're all going to be inside of this torture chamber known as the United States. But the elect, the men of the Lord, okay, the ones that have been preaching and teaching and declaring the names of Yahweh Shem Shai and standing firmly for him and his name, right? They're going to be protected during this time. Okay, everybody else is dead meat. Okay, 1,000 shall fall by at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked, because thou hast made the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. It means we live inside of this truth. This is our main day-to-day thoughts. We're thinking about this truth. We're reading this truth. We're getting into it. We're teaching it. Okay, we're living it. Okay, we're not just coming on these videos and making these videos and then going off and being part of this world. No, we sincerely pray that this world be destroyed. We sincerely pray that, destruction come to Babylon the Great. Okay, and those prayers, if you're a man of the Lord, if you're a saint, part of the elect, your prayers are being heard and you're pushing forward prophecy, the destruction of America, okay, the destruction of the Edomites, vengeance upon our enemies, okay, and destruction upon the wicked of our nation, which is most of you niggas, all right, most of you niggas, right? Now, let's go back to this video because I got off a little bit, all right, let's keep listening.
Systemic collapse that you can't contain. So you'd analyze America, the heart of your power for decades, and you'd start preparing plans because the real situation has changed significantly from the early days. So if you're someone from the A National OCGFC, the owners and controllers of global financialized capital, and you made an evaluation of America and the global landscape from around 2015, you'd have some very stark conclusions. The trends were all there. The writing was on the wall. And if your goal is uninterrupted profit extraction, geopolitical control, and long-term systemic stability for capital, well, America just didn't look like a good bet anymore. We can go point by point. You have demographic decline. You'd see declining birth rates in the U.S. Total fertility rate was already below replacement level by 2015, sitting at around 1.8% and dropping. By 2023, 2 years ago, it hit 1.62%, according to the CDC. That's
the Lord's doing. Yahweh has cursed you Edomites, okay? Because really it's you Edomites that are not having children. The Lord has made you small. Your population is not growing, okay? Let's get that. Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 2, it says, "Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised." And this chapter is going into Edom, okay? Edom has been made small, okay? Meaning they're a minority among all the heathen nations. They're not having a great explosion in population like they did in the 30s and 40s, okay? That was the baby boomer generation. That's why they call it a boomer generation, because there was an explosion, a boom in population. After World War II, those men came home and made a whole bunch of babies with these Edomite women, okay, and had a whole explosion of Edomite population. That's never coming back. The boomers are dying off. Their population is not growing. These people are not having children because they cannot afford to have children, okay? And also other factors. It's spiritual because the Heavenly Father put a curse on them. They're starting to go under the curses. And, the Edomite women, they want Jake. They don't want their men, okay? They want Jake. And all the women, all the nation's women are going to want Jake soon, okay? They're all going to realize that the so-called black man is a god, okay, in a literal sense. And you know how women are. They follow power, okay? They're hypergamous. And all power is going to come to the men of the Lord, okay? All power is going to come to the elect of the nation of Israel, right? And when I say all power, I mean all power, okay? The only one that's going to be above, the only ones that'll be above, okay, the elect men of the nation of Israel, okay, it's going to be the 144,000 men, right? The government, the Gabar-yah-ahla, the government, the one world government that's going to rule the planet Earth underneath Yahushai. It's going to be Yahushai himself, okay, at the top. He will be the number one, right, on earth. And then, of course, you can't forget that above Yahushai is his Father, our Father, Yahweh, okay? And he's the one that designed and orchestrated this entire plan, this entire show, this entire movie we call human history, we call life. All right, he controls it all. Okay, but you Edomites are greatly despised because you're being exposed. Your ancestral ties, your history, what you've done to become wealthy, how you've gotten your lands, your everything about you is being exposed as being satanic, and you are exposed as the devil that the Bible speaks of. Okay, most people, they get upset when we say things like that because they don't understand that the Bible is about the nations. Okay, it's really about one nation in particular, the Israelites, okay, the race of people, but it's about in context, their relationship with the other nations and with their Heavenly Father, okay, according to his instructions. And the Heavenly Father uses those other nations, those other races of people to punish the Israelites, okay, when they go off. But when at the return of Yahushai, the Israelites will be made perfect. The elect of the nation of Israel will be made perfect. And they will never go off again, and they will become gods on earth, Okay. And the other nations will be punished and subdued and enslaved for their role and what they've done throughout history to the Israelites. Okay. And they will get their recompense. And one nation in particular is going to get it the worst of them all. And that nation is known as the wicked. Okay, let's go to the blue letter. Let's get Malachi. Let's get the book of Malachi. Oh, Slakia. Let's get the book of Micah. Slakia, let me find the verse I'm looking for. What's this? Yeah, Malachi 1 and I'll start at verse 3. And it says, and I hated Esau and laid his mountains, which is his governments, his power structure, right? And I laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Okay, that's these other nations, mainly, the Lord is going to destroy America. So America will become a desert. Okay, and that will be, it says that there will be dragons or lizards, desert creatures that are living here. That's the only things that are going to be living here in the land of America. So yes, America will be destroyed by nuclear fire, and it will turn into a desert where there's lizards and snakes and vultures and stuff like that, tumbleweeds, right? Every square inch of this place will be destroyed. Okay. Verse 4 says, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts. They shall build, but I will throw down. Okay, and we're at the part where the Lord is about to throw down. Okay, they've built up America. They've built up Europe, okay, what they call Europe, which is really Western Asia, all lands that they've stolen. They've built up the places where they're at, okay, and they built cities, okay. But I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness. You Edomites are known as the wicked nation in the Bible, okay? And the people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever, meaning he hates you for all time, for all eternity. The Lord hates Edomites, okay? And he's going to destroy all of you. He's going to commit a mass genocide, okay? 100% of all Edomites will be destroyed, okay? You will all be in the spirit world, never to return, okay? Now, one verse that popped up, let me see if I can think of it. They shall build and I will throw down. Okay, yeah. Where it says, but we will return and build the desolate places. Let's see. I believe that might be back in the book of Obadiah. Oops, let me Isaiah 14, okay, 21. It says, prepare slaughter. Once again, another condemning and prophecy that is talking about the destruction of you Edomites, okay, you modern day Edomites. It says, prepare slaughter for his children. For whose children? Esau, Edom's children, okay, the descendants of the nation of Esau, Edom, for the iniquity of their fathers, right? Because there's not a nation or race of people on earth that is more violent, that has killed more people, that has destroyed more people, that has deceived more people, that have stolen from more people, that have caused disease to run rampant through the earth, that have programmed Satanism and things that are contrary to the word of Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai. This nation is responsible for all of it. They are the most wicked, evil, disgusting, satanic devils on the planet. And they present themselves as holy, as people of God, as light. Okay, that's why they call themselves white. Okay, when there is no such thing as a white person. They're not white, they're red. Okay, but they call themselves white to deceive you. It's a words game. Okay, it says that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. Okay, the Lord, that's what Edomites do. They build cities, tall skyscrapers and buildings and metropolitan areas. That's what Edomites do. Okay? You Edomites are known for that. You've built cities all over the world, okay, wherever you are. But what the Lord said that you're not going to fill the face of the earth with cities. Go back to verse 4 here. It says, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. That's them wanting to build cities again. Okay, they want to start building again. They're disgusting, bad infrastructure, satanic, dirty, dusty, disgusting smelling cities. Okay, if you ever been in a city, you live in a city, you know it smells disgusting. The downtown area smells like piss and shit all the time. Concrete's always crumbling. Construction always on the streets. Homes are falling apart. You know, this stuff is the brainchild of an Edomite. Okay, in the kingdom of heaven, there will be no construction. Okay, there will be no infrastructure falling apart. Right, we will have eternal buildings. Our streets will be paved with gold. Okay, and we ain't gonna be driving no fucking cars down our streets, man. Israelites don't need cars. We have chariots. We fly. Okay, you know, we can get in a chariot and blast off into space. Or if we want to, we could just blast off ourselves and our bodies into space, just like Superman. Okay? Because we will become gods. We will become Kryptonians. We will become Viltrumites. We will become Black Adams and all Shazams and all of that. All of that is talking about the Israelites. Okay? We're going to be able to do all of that. We won't need to touch the ground, you know? And if there's a speck of dust in our kingdom, in our mansions, our palaces, our homes, okay, we're going to get you slaves to wipe it for us, constantly polishing our gold, constantly making sure our fine jewels are set correctly, okay, for all eternity, except for you Edomites. After 1,000 years, you're all done for. You're dead. All right, let's go back to this video.
Below replacement level of 2.1. Well, that means in the future, shrinking labor force, increased aging population, higher dependency ratios, and so on. More strain on social services, less domestic consumption over time, on and on. Compare that to India or to Nigeria or to the broader sub-Saharan region. Nigeria's population is expected to double by 2050. India already overtook China as the most populous country in 2023. The center of gravity is shifting. Then you have other issues, like the OCGFC would have looked at Ferguson in 2014, Baltimore in 2015, seen the rise of Black Lives Matter, not because they care about racism or police violence, not at all, but because civil unrest is bad for business. Then, of course, Trump happened, 2016. Half the country was radicalized. The other half was traumatized. Social cohesion was fraying. Trust in institutions was plummeting. In 2021, the trust barometer showed that trust in the media and the government had collapsed. The Capitol was stormed.
That's a part of the fall of a nation, okay? And that's a part of a collapse of society. The people no longer trust the government. Remember what I read. In 2nd Esdras, (15), yep. For there shall be sedition among men in invading one another, right? They're invading one another because they're breaking into their neighbor's house because there's no food, okay? They shall not regard their kings or princes, okay? Nor princes, right? That's collapsing trust in the government. Right, you have a collapse in the trust of society in government, in entertainment and media. Right, that's what that means. Okay,
right? So-called insurrection. This is not a good environment for capital. You have political dysfunction, you have gridlock, you have polarization, institutional paralysis. The 2010s showed that the U.S. couldn't even pass basic legislation. Infrastructure fell into disrepair. According to the American Society of Civil Engineers, the U.S. had a C- rating in infrastructure in 2021. Meanwhile, China's Belt and
And I just spoke about that, how, you know, these cities that these Edomites build is just nothing but collapsing infrastructure. Nothing lasts here. It's always, you know, there's always construction. Every spring, every street is fucking blocked off with orange cones and stop and detour signs because the fucking street is fucking falling apart because it got a little cold over the winter. All right.
Road Initiative is transforming Eurasia and transforming Africa. Deindustrialization between 2000 and 2015, the U.S. lost 5 million manufacturing jobs. Whole towns were hollowed out. The OCGFC had already offshored production for profit. And by 2015, America was becoming too expensive, too politically unstable, too socially chaotic to remain as a global manufacturing hub or even as a reliable research and development center in the long run. Silicon Valley had become dominated by monopolies: Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft. Innovation was consolidating into platform. Internet users weren't in San Francisco, they were in Lagos, in Jakarta, in New Delhi. And then, of course, you have America's educational decline. A 2015 Pew study ranked the U.S. 38th out of 71 countries in math and 24th in science. Student debt exploded to 1.6 trillion by the 2020s. STEM graduates were fewer compared to China and India. By 2022, China was produced with Latin American countries and obviously with the Arab world, with the Gulf, with the Khalij. The sanctions on Russia led to the creation of an alternative payment system, which gradually reduced their reliance on SWIFT. So the US-dominated international payment system is being sidelined. In fact, what happened is that Europe...
The money system is being challenged. The Edomites' control of the money system, like I started this video, their financial control is being challenged by the BRICS. Okay. I believe that's a book of Jude. Leave. James. Okay. James 5:1, it says, "Go now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you." Your riches, okay, their financial system are corrupted, okay, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and your silver, your fiat currency, your US dollar is cankered. And the rust of them, the devaluing, the hyperinflation, okay, the rust of them shall be witness against you. Right, because people are now realizing that it's a debt instrument. The dollar is nothing more than a debt instrument that is used to control the nations. That's why these other countries are getting off of the SWIFT payment system, which is the system you need to have to do international trade, to send payments between countries. Okay, in order to do trade, in order to do anything, you have to have the United States dollar. Okay, and if you have the United States dollar, you have to agree to the terms and the policies of the United States, which means they control you. Okay, through the money. Shall be witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasures together for the last days. Right, your financial homogeny, your power structure is over. Right, and these other nations are sick and tired of you. Okay, let's get a few more.
Tied to U.S. policies, found themselves alienated from the emerging markets like BRICS. Countries like India, South Africa, even Saudi Arabia started to rethink their relationships with the West. They began to see...
I'm going to skip to this end part because it's a good part right here.
...of social engineering. That's a fact. And we can actually identify all of the ways that this has been done. And you need to just start doing the opposite of what they have done to you. Basically, I'm saying that you need to civilize. And no one can do that for you. That's your job. You have to do that yourself. Stop waiting for the government or stop waiting for the authorities or the power structure to help you. They're not going to help you. So you can try to hammer this out, this cultural change, item by item, bad habit by bad habit, negative tendency by negative tendency, one by one. Or you can fast track all of that just by becoming a Muslim. Because that's really the paradigm.
Now, we don't promote Islam. Okay, the Hebrew Israelites have nothing to do with Islam. As a matter of fact, those Ishmaelites over there, the sons of the descendants of Ishmael, Abraham's first son, those are the Arabians who make up the majority of Muslims. Okay, it's just another false idol, another false religion. Okay, those Ishmaelites. Okay, see, we don't deal with religions. Religions are all fake. They're all man-made. As a matter of fact, the Lord talks about how he created those idols for the other nations. Oh, let me see. Yes, so it says, Yeah, Psalms 96:4 says, "For the Lord Yahweh is great and greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods." Okay, it says, "For all the gods of the nations," okay, Islam is included in that, "are idols, but the Lord made the heavens." Yahweh made the heavens. "Honor and majesty are before him. Strength and beauty are his sanctuary." Okay, are in his sanctuary. See, all those religions, Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, right? Any of all the African bugged out religions, those are for the heathen. Okay. Let me see. I'm pretty sure. Let me see if I can find this. Yeah, it's giving me the same one. But the scriptures also talk about how the Lord created those idols for the heathen. Okay, they're not for the Israelites. See, the Bible is not about religions and God and false gods and all that, those religious customs of men. The Bible is about race, your nationality. It's about your bloodline. The Bible is about a bloodline of people. Okay, this is a real, tangible thing. Okay, we all have a race. And it's a Muslim, right? You can say you're a Muslim, but who are you? That's what you practice. It's what you believe. But who are you? Who do you descend from? That is what is important. Who are your forefathers? That is what matters, because that is what is going to apply to you during prophecy. Okay. And the Bible is about one particular race, one particular nation. Okay. It's called the Israelites, the sons of God. Okay. They are real people here that are the actual sons of the Heavenly Father. Okay. The supreme intelligence of the universe. Right. So, the Bible is about the royal bloodline, the chosen people, the chosen nation, the chosen race. It's not about Islam and which, this God is the right one. Our religion is no. This is not religion. This is heritage. Okay, let me get that. Isaiah 19. Get a KJV. Isaiah 19. And 25. Whom the Lord Yahweh of hosts shall bless, saying, "Blessed be Egypt, my people, and Assyria, the work of my hands, and Israel, mine inheritance." Okay. Now, when it says Egypt and Assyria, people might get confused and say, look, the Lord said the Egyptians were his people too. The Assyrians are his people too. No, he's talking about the Israelites that are among those people. Okay. Remember, Israel was scattered unto all nations. Let's prove that. Because that's a stumbling block for a lot of people. Okay. Let's get Israel was scattered. Okay, let's see. This is okay, yeah, Isaiah 11:11. "And it shall come to pass that in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which are the Israelites, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt." See, Assyria and Egypt were mentioned because his people, the Israelites, were scattered there. Okay. And from Parthos and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea. See, Israel was scattered all over the world. That's why we are referred to as these other nations. We're referred to as Gentiles, as heathen. Okay. We're referred to as Egyptians, Assyrians, right? Elamites, Cushites. Okay. But those titles belong to the other nations. Okay. They've just been put onto us because we, as the generations go on, the Israelites have assimilated more and more into these cultures of these nations. Okay, so they're being like them, so they're being liking unto them, right? But the Lord said He's going to recover them out of those nations. The remnant shall be recovered. All right, that's the point I wanted to make. Let's get this. Deuteronomy 32:9. Just to let you know what this Bible is about. It's not about religion. It's about heritage, your race, your inheritance. For the Lord's portion is His people. Okay, Jacob is the lot of His inheritance. All right, this Jacob, that's a nation. That's the Israelites. All right. Let me get one more. This one right here is good. Jeremiah 10:16. It says, the portion of Jacob, a race of people, a heritage, is not like them. Not like who? The other heathen. Okay? The Israelites have something special coming to them. For He is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of His inheritance. The Lord Yahweh of hosts is His name. And the reason why the Israelites are the rod of His inheritance or heritage of the Lord, the God of the universe, the creator, is because we are the sons of God. We are literally His children. Okay? You other nations don't matter to the Lord. Okay? It's like, when you go to an estate planning or meet with a lawyer for the when your ancestors are passing down something to you, inheritance, right? All that inheritance is going down to the family members. Okay, let's say you had a rich uncle. Okay, and he had land, he had money, he had assets. Okay, he's gonna bring together the family, right, and say, okay, you're gonna get this portion, you're gonna get this portion. And a stranger walks in, someone who's not part of the family says, hey, I believe and I'm friends with your uncle. Where's my portion? Where's my inheritance? You don't get, you other nations, you Edomites, you don't get the fact that this is nothing to do with you. You have nothing to do with our family inheritance. Okay? You are not one of us. Okay? We are gods on this earth. Okay, we are the sons of God. That's what makes us gods, is that we are literally His sons and His daughters. So that's why Israel is the rod of His inheritance. We are going to become the most advanced, the most holy, perfect in every way. We're going to literally be perfect physical embodiments of God's. The laws of physics will no longer apply to us. We will be able to do anything. We will be able to bend matter to our will at a thought. We will be able to fly at the speed of light. We will be able to lift continents. All the things you see in comic books, that's all part of the inheritance of an Israelite. That's talked about in 1 Corinthians 15 and 51, the new bodies that we're going to be changed into. Those new bodies, the incorruptible bodies, the body of a God, the celestial, extraterrestrial body, okay, that talks about. And it was talked about in Corinthians, okay? That is the rod of Israel's inheritance, okay? And the Lord is our Heavenly Father, and He's giving it to us. But first, we have to learn this hard lesson in obedience. We have to learn this hard lesson in obedience. And then one of the greatest gifts, a part of that inheritance, is immortality. We will never die. We will be 25 years old for all eternity. We'll be 3 years old for all eternity. In a prime of our lives as gods for all eternity. Now let's prove that the Lord doesn't care about you other nations. Let's go back to Isaiah chapter 40. This is what the Lord thinks about you other nations, okay? Let me get to it. Yeah, Isaiah 40 and 15 says, behold, the nations are as a drop of a bucket and are counted as the small of the dust of the balance. Behold, he taketh up the isles as a very little thing. Remember, behold, the nations are as a drop of a bucket and are counted as the small dust of the balance. That means you're insignificant. Okay, read it in NLT. No, for all the nations of the world are but a drop in a bucket. They are nothing more than dust on the scales. He picks up the whole earth as though it were a grain of sand. You nations don't matter. The only nation that matters is the Israelites. Okay, the only nation that matters is the Israelites. Okay, and the reason why the world, these Edomites, have hijacked this Bible and told you a completely false, world-friendly, everybody matters, God loves everybody, that kind of doctrine, and we can all kumbaya and come together under Jesus Christ. That whole thing is because they're jealous. They're angry that they are not the Israelites. They want to be gods too. They want to be powerful too. They don't want to be slaves to us. They don't want to be slaves. That's in Psalms chapter 2. Okay, why do the heathen rage? Okay, and the people imagine a vain thing. Yeah, they rage because they're angry, because they're not us. They can you imagine being a heathen and not knowing that you're going to become a god? Okay, so looking at this other nation of people, why are they so great? Why are they chosen? Why can't I be one of them? You'd be so jealous. You'd be so angry that you'd be willing to destroy that nation if you were given the power. Because can you imagine being a man and seeing a man that is a god in front of you and knowing that for all eternity you will never usurp or be better than that man, right? Because he is a god. That's how these nations feel about us, okay? And you can understand their anger. I would be angry too. That's why this Psalms 2 talks about this. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing, right? They want to somehow break the promises that the Lord has given to us, apply it to the rest of the world. And if they can't do that, they want to destroy the Israelites. Okay, the kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord Yahweh and against his anointed, right? The Israelites, his chosen people, saying, let us break their bands asunder. Right, bands represent slavery or captivity. They don't want to be slaves to us. And cast away their cords from us. Right, they don't want to be slaves to us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh, and the Lord shall have them in derision. The Lord's laughing at your plan. You can't stop what's about to happen. You're all going to go into slavery. Every single last one of you. If you're not an Israelite, you're done for. Okay? Now, this is what this Bible is about. This is what this Bible is about. The heathen nations were given power over the Israelites, who lost their power, who lost their abilities, okay? And we've been down here as regular people, right? Looking like regular people, but we're gods. Psalms 82 and 6, right? We're actual gods. Remember in the movie Thor when he was cast out of, what was that? What was his fucking Slakia? But what is his planet, his world called? He was cast out by Odin, right? Thor was cast out for being rebellious, and he stripped him of his powers, and he was just like a regular dude here on Earth. Yeah, that's what happened to the Israelites, okay, over generations. Not so much exactly like that in the movie, but over the generations, the Lord stripped us of our powers, okay, separated us from our powers and put us under curses. Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. And now we're going to be put back into our position so long as we're part of the elect. All right. But this video has been going. I'm going to continue. Let me see. Let me go back here.
Paradigm shift that you need, not just behaviorally, but spiritually and intellectually. Look, Muslims have survived so-called failed states.
So he's going to go into, Muslim. You should become a Muslim to correct no, you should not become a Muslim. Listen, if you're a heathen, it doesn't matter if you become a Muslim or not. Go ahead, do it, right? Do whatever you want. Become a Buddhist, become a Hindu, a fucking Rastafarian, or whatever the fuck you want, okay? It's not going to stop prophecy. The sons of God are coming back. Yahushua is going to take this planet. He's going to rule this planet with a rod of iron, okay? And the sons of God, the race of people, the chosen people, are going to destroy and break down all idols, including Islam, all right? They're going to break all idols. All right. We're going to come and we're going to destroy you, and we're going to take over this planet underneath Yahweh Shai, underneath the elect, the 144,000, the Gabar-yah-ahla. Okay. So with that, I'm going to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Quadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching this truth according to the Bible. Shalom and Abba Ball.